Welcome back for another episode of the Ross Bolen podcast. I am Ross Bolen here today with Jared Borislow, a.k.a. J-Bone. Jared, how are you?
I'm good, a.k.a. J-Vote.
Oh, yeah? Did you rock the vote today?
Yeah, I cocked the vote with my penis. I voted with
What?
it. Yeah.
I don't think that's legal, sir. Are you implying that you took out your genitals and placed them on the voting machine?
Yeah, well, you know
Was the weight of that thing enough to get the button to even recognize it?
You know how back during COVID they gave out the little finger condoms?
Yeah, that was sick, actually. I really, like today when I left the polling center, the first thing I thought was, man, my finger might have an STD right now, and I don't like that. Miss those, the condoms.
The one I went to here, they gave it a regular condom.
Oh, just... Well, that's good. At least your dick germs didn't get on the machine when you were voting, you disgusting bastard. Let's talk about politics, Jared, but not really. Crazy week last week. Obviously, my Houston Astros won the World Series. But the story I want to open today's show with on Election Day in America is that Ted Cruz, noted not fan of our show, who doesn't know who we are, was booed throughout the entire parade and then pegged with a White Claw can by some dude. So you and I were watching the video over and over from different angles before the podcast started, and it's almost like a Zapruder or JFK type of situation at this point, because we're trying to figure out if the can even made contact with his head, and it's tough to get a perfect angle. I feel like it's ironic that it's a World Series parade, because I feel like I'm watching a sports replay trying to figure out if a catch actually occurred or whatever.
I am team...
And trying to see if this guy got hit.
Yeah. I'm team Magic Can. I believe it did hit Ted Cruz in the head. The way I watch it is this. It comes in, somebody throws an errant one, not even close, a few feet away. He's on the lookout. Then one comes directly to his head. He sticks his hand up to block it, but he's not fast enough. It goes directly over his hand, but then his hand, which he had stuck up to block it, all it really does is block the camera.
View from every angle somehow, though, where you can't really see like that definitive evidence, you know?
The way his head bounces downwards when I think it hits, the way it bounces off of him sideways, I think it has to have hit Ted Cruz directly in the head.
Yeah, you're using evidence of the can's flight pattern being disturbed by what you're seeing as his head making contact with the can to confirm that he was in fact hit. The funny thing here, obviously, look, don't be an idiot. Don't throw shit at politicians. That's how you go to jail. It's generally frowned upon to assault public service people, even if they are the biggest piece of shit in the world, like Ted happens to be. Not great. Don't love the dude. But what's crazy is, like, you know how like you'll see somebody go streaking. Like we had somebody run onto the field and try to take a selfie with Jose Altuve during the World Series at one point, or the ALCS rather, and that person got arrested. And, like, you know, it's kind of funny, and it's one of those things like you really shouldn't do it, but you're going to spend the night in jail, and that's kind of it.
And
right?
you get banned for life.
And you get banned for life from the stadium, which is the real reason that I would never ever do that. In this case, it's like the penalty for what you're pulling off is not even close to worth it, because once you're arrested for assaulting a sitting member of Congress, it's hard to get a job. Like, it's hard to go on with your life from that point.
It's hard to get a job if you're just somebody who stormed the Capitol and didn't assault a sitting member of Congress.
What do you mean just? If you just committed, you think on the scale of political crimes, insurrection is below throwing a White Claw at Ted?
I'm just saying, in terms of the damage you did to the Congress people.
Insurrection? They were going to cut off Nancy Pelosi's head, Jared.
I don't know if they were actually going to do that.
And pee into it.
I feel like they were just talking big game.
Oh, God, you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem,
Jared. Do you think the insurrectionists were going to cut off Pelosi's head and pee into it?
Yeah, especially now that I've seen what they did to her husband with a hammer.
It's true.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Ted Cruz. Look, people have been asking me left and right, like, why is Ted Cruz at the Astros parade anyway? And the answer is because Ted finds every possible way to milk every single ounce of clout out of anything he can be attached to, right? It's the same reason he shared our clip of us. Like, weren't we making fun of him? Wasn't I challenging him to a basketball game or something?
In that clip, you and I were saying Ted Cruz is not a fan of any team. He's a fan of whatever team makes the most sense for him politically.
Basically accusing him of what we're talking about now.
And he responded saying he bleeds I bleed rocket red.
Yeah, and that he's been a fan since the fucking 70s or whatever.
What we were referring to was the picture of him like wearing a Baylor shirt and like a
Longhorn hat or something.
Like, yeah.
He's a horse's ass. He just attaches himself to whatever he can attach himself to for the sake of clout. And that's what he does with the Astros. It's the only good team we have in Houston. So he went to the parade. He got himself in the parade. Of course he did.
I mean, you can't just... How can you just get yourself into the parade?
I don't know the answer to that question. Honestly, when I was watching the parade, like Scarface was up there, former guest of the show, Brad Jordan is his government name. But like it was like rap legends, former players, and Ted Cruz. It really didn't make a whole lot of cohesive sense.
I could understand him being like a guest on a different like car.
But he had like his own float.
He had his own car.
Just the Ted Cruz car.
That it was the Ted Cruz car. I don't get it. He should be a guest on somebody else's thing. He should not have his own float.
Because who is stoked on that? Who sees that coming around the corner like, oh my God, it's Ted Cruz. It's the Ted Cruz float. Ted, you did it, Ted.
Meanwhile, Jeremy Pena's like walking down the line, high-fiving people next to you, and you're like, oh God, you totally miss him just looking at Ted Cruz. I have a question. I've been thinking this for the last day.
Okay.
Do you think Ted Cruz has deluded himself into thinking the crowd is chanting, Cruz! Cruz!
Yes. I think it's entirely possible. I think the level of delusion that has to occur in your mind to be a politician on any level in 2022, you got to carry some of that. Like, I think that's like, honestly, it's one of the more admirable traits that he has. Is like, there's nothing that shakes this man from his shittiness. Nothing. He has the same look on his face no matter what's occurring. No matter if it's him being, accosted on an airplane with somebody holding the phone in front of him, accusing him of causing mass shootings at schools, or getting a White Claw thrown at him at a fucking Astros parade, he looks the same.
For me,
he's unfazed.
The funniest moment of my tenure on RBP is always going to be Ted Cruz quote tweeting us insulting him for being a bad sports fan and starting it off with not sure who these guys are. Nobody asked if you knew who we were. Like, why was he doing that? Why did he have to do that?
It's almost like it's because we're in the era of politicians just quote tweeting whoever and they keep accidentally throwing like Nazis and shit in there. So maybe he was worried that we might be some like Antifa podcasters or something.
He was worried that we were just like terrible people. Meanwhile, Ted Cruz is the one doing this. Ted Cruz looked at us in that video and thought you and I were terrible people.
It was just like,
we might not want to associate with.
I don't know who these guys are. I want to say that up front. No clue who they are, but here's a clip of them on their show saying that I suck. Why would you share that? It'll never make sense, man. It'll always be one of the best moments of this show. And honestly, the White Claw thing is one of the best moments of the parade because it was a White Claw. How is it that the seltzer movement has gotten that far? At a fucking World Series parade, that's your ammo that you're using to commit assault against a sitting member of Congress? A fucking White Claw? The most important moment in White Claw history, certainly. Right?
I mean, it begs the question.
Used as a political attack weapon?
This is going to be the Supreme Court. Like, I guarantee this goes all the way up to the Supreme Court, and this is going to be the precedent-setting case that determines whether or not there are laws when you're drinking claws.
Wow. Fortunately, it's something I don't have to worry about. But today's episode brought to you by Manscaped, the global leaders in below-the-waist grooming. They've got the best tools for cleaning aisle 5 in your pants. You know what I'm going to say here. They've got the best stuff. All right? You got to shave your shit.
Trim your junk.
All right? And I'm not even talking just about your Johnson and your balls or whatever. It's also your nose hairs, your ear hairs. They've got the weed whacker that you can use for those two purposes. I use it once a week. Once a week, Jared. I hit both holes in the nose, both ears, keep them clear. Weed whacker from Manscaped. But they've got the Lawnmower 4.0, the trimmer to give you the most precise shave on your hedges.
What are your hedges?
They're in your pants.
Oh.
It's your pubis, your pubic region. You've got to use some tools that were made for the purpose of cleaning that area. You can't just be getting a pair of scissors out of the kitchen drawer, Jared, like you do, and cutting your pubic hair standing in the living room at work. We work in a house. But that's what Jared does, instead of using Manscaped, which is a mistake. It's a mistake. They've also got the Crop Preserver and Reviver, anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, and spray-on toner for your balls. If you're sitting there right now and you're thinking, man, Christmas is coming up, and I've got family members with disgusting dicks and balls, then Manscaped is the company for you. Get 20% off plus free shipping with code RBP at manscaped.com. Get your disgusting family members some stuff to clean up their shit. 20% off plus free shipping, code RBP, manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your downstairs mix-up today with Manscaped. A couple insane headlines of the day for you. First one's about lions. I'm a big fan of lions. Zoo sleepover goes awry as 5 escaped lions force families to flee. A little bit of alliteration there from Vice at the end. Alliteration is probably my favorite tool to be used in a headline.
You're my favorite tool.
Thank you, Jared. I'm just going to read you a little bit of the story. So from Vice, Dominic and Magnus Perry, just awesome names, could hear the lions when they woke in their tents at 4 a.m. on Wednesday. The Sydney couple and their 2 children were among dozens of people who had opted to spend the night inside Taronga Zoo as part of its, quote, roar and snore program. You cannot make this shit up. The guests paid anywhere from 525 Australian dollars. What the fuck do they have there? Don't know. Roo-bucks? Are they Roo-bucks? Yeah, we'll call them Roo-bucks. 525 kangaroo bucks. Up to 1,240 kangaroo bucks. That's $337 to $795. That's a lot of money, United States American, per person to sleep just 100 meters from an African lion enclosure. Which, just from the start, like, I get how if you're listening and you're like 24, you're like, I'd do that. Sounds sick. Yeah, but once you've got kids, ideas like this stop sounding like I would never take a toddler or a child to go sleep within 100 meters of a lion exhibit.
Sleeping within 100 meters of anything is not a selling point for me. You're 100 meters away.
That's a good point, Jared.
It's really far.
I'm trying to think of
it's
what
like
I would
football field.
What I would pay to sleep within 100 meters of.
I mean,
your tight little ass aside.
For free, you can go sleep outside the zoo, and you're within 100 meters of some animals.
Also a fair point. Could have just set that tent up in the parking lot. Would have been a lot better off. So yeah, they forked out money for an unforgettable overnight experience featuring intimate animal encounters. Those are the actual words used in the advertisement, almost as if this was planned. But at 6:40 a.m., this family was awoken by zookeepers rushing to their tent. There's a quote. They came running into the tent area saying, "This is a code 1. Get out of your tent and run. Come now and leave your belongings," Magnus was quoted as saying in the Sydney Morning Herald on Wednesday. Initially, he thought the whole thing was a drill, but then, quote, "We heard on the radio, they're still outside, so we realized something was out there, and they said, it's the lions." So the lions escaped. 4 of the 5 lion cubs escaped. They're approaching adult size. They're not as small as you're thinking in your head if you're thinking lion cubs. They're big-ass lions. And, they got out of the perimeter. They still don't know how it happened. It's like one of the zookeepers was like, you know what? Fuck these people sleeping here overnight, paying this money to be within 100 meters. I'm letting them out so they can feed.
I guarantee you, if you and I were in this situation, we would have woken up and been like, oh, this is part of the act. It's like a Jurassic Park kind of theme thing.
Yeah. I wouldn't have believed them at all.
No.
I wouldn't. I would have gone right back to sleep. 6:30 in the morning? Get the fuck out of my tent, dude.
I paid good money to be here, you motherfucker.
Code 1! I don't know what that is.
Did they brief them on the codes?
Yeah, how many were there? What code 4? What is that? Maybe it's the penguins. When they escape, you get code 4. The lions were spotted in a small area next to the zoo, or next to the main exhibit, where a 6-foot fence separated them from the rest of the zoo. And by 9 a.m., apparently all but one of them had calmly re-entered their enclosure, and the remaining one had to be tranquilized and then dragged in unwillingly.
In the K-hole.
Right in the K-hole. In a statement, Taronga Zoo said its staff have reviewed video footage and, quote, confirmed it was less than 10 minutes between the lions exiting the main exhibit and the emergency response being enacted. Now, what do you think the odds are they're telling the truth there? Because if they went to the videotape and they were like, oh my God, the lions were out for 2.5 hours before anyone noticed, they wouldn't come out and like, I mean, is this being reviewed by some agency that's going to have to hold them accountable?
Maybe,
whether or not the tape... I always wonder that about shit, though, you know? Because like when I was a little kid, I always expected there was just an insane amount of checks and balances that keep everything in the adult world in place the way it's supposed to be. But now that I'm an adult, I realize that almost none of that exists. Like, no one has ever once come and checked to make sure that, like, I podcast correctly. I don't even know what those rules are, what I'm allowed to say and not say. It's probably the FCC. Who did Eminem do battle with?
FCC.
The FCC won't let me be.
I mean, in terms of checks and balances, somebody did just come by the house yesterday and talk about trimming the trees near the power lines in your house.
That's true.
That's a check.
At least we got that going for us. One check. But I always wonder, like, who holds the zoo accountable if there's a lion escaped? Is there like a national review board for zoos that comes in and says, like, you guys didn't handle this correctly?
I imagine there's like a certification process for a zoo.
Something,
If
right?
there's not, we should just start one.
Yeah. It says it remains unclear how the apex predators escaped in the first place, and while no injuries were reported, the zoo has since announced that it will undertake a review of the incident as well as of the exhibit to ensure that it is, in Duffy's words, 100% safe. Because I'll say, I'm not a pro, but if the lions can escape the exhibit, it is definitely not 100% safe. It's lower than 100, maybe 80, but it's not 100% safe.
Yeah, because like a 6-foot fence is not that high.
And also, why is that the only barricade, right? I wondered this in the Harambe situation even. It's just too, we don't have to bring up sad times, but it's just too easy to get in there. Like, it was too easy. It's too, the zoo that I grew up going to in Houston, the separation between you and the gorillas is enormous. There is no fucking way you can get over there. It's a massive, like, man-made ditch, you know? Ditch.
A man-made ditch.
It's not a ditch. It's like it's, you know, like a moat, but without water.
That's a ditch.
It's a ditch. But you could never get in there. The Harambe one, it was like you could just go under this fence and slide right on down and hang with him.
Why'd you have to bring up Harambe?
It's the best example of zoo mischief that's ever occurred, right?
I mean, if by zoo mischief you mean brutally murdering a gorilla.
He was threatening the child, Jared.
He didn't threaten the child. He would have killed the child. He could have killed the child at any moment.
That's true.
That child, I don't want to say he was asking for it because he knew not what he did, but like,
well, we don't know. He might have.
That kid. How does he? That kid's alive. How old's that kid,
dude?
Have we doxed him yet? Not us, but like
somebody.
Society.
Surely someone has. Harambe lovers have doxed that guy. His life has to be a living hell. It's like the Cubs fan who caught that home run ball
Steve
or whatever.
Bartman.
It's like that, but for zoos. The guy who got Harambe killed because he was fucking around and found out. Sheesh.
Why'd they have to kill Harambe? Couldn't they just tranked him? They probably tried that.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that either. It was one of those things we were all so caught up in the mourning process, we didn't really look into the specifics.
We mourned that for like 6 months, and then it resurged as just the biggest meme of the year in 2016.
And then we sold, as a society, millions and millions of dollars worth of merchandise.
I mean, as our old company, we sold $75,000 in Harambe t-shirts, one of which... Well,
yeah, I think Harambe paid my salary that year, actually, which is really weird to think about.
One of the shirts that we sold...
What did it say? What did it say? I don't remember any of them.
It was a parody of Make America Great Again, and it said, Make Harambe Alive Again.
See, that's funny. That's a funny t-shirt, Jared. That might have been my idea. That sounds brilliant.
It was Will DeFreeze's.
Make Harambe alive again. Oh, like a reanimated Frankenstein. Oh, my God. All right, next headline. Ralph Lauren redesigns Polo logo for first time ever for Fortnite. Look, man, I grew up on
I will spit out my sparkling water.
I grew up on Ralph Lauren, like wearing polo, and my grandma, who's one of my favorite people in the world, wears like almost exclusively Ralph Lauren shit. Ralph Lauren.
Drippy.
Yeah, she is kind of drippy, especially for an old broad. And I saw Ralph Lauren's...
Call your grandma that.
She's an old broad. She's like 93. She knows it. And I saw his ranch where he lives when I was in Colorado for my buddy's wedding a month ago or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's just like the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life. But the point is, I didn't think this was the kind of brand that could stoop. Or I guess maybe not stoop. I just never saw them doing something like this, where Polo, Ralph Lauren is jumping in with Fortnite and redesigning the logo for the first time ever?
Did I not just see somebody wearing a Balenciaga Fortnite hoodie on the internet?
I mean, that wouldn't shock me, but Balenciaga's way less historical and more trendy to me than like Polo typically would be seen. But look, the point is the redesign that they're speaking of is the llama that you can find like loot in.
Yeah.
It's the llama and then the the polo guy is riding the llama. So it's like the classic polo horse logo, but instead of the horse, it's the llama from Fortnite. And I kind of want to buy it, like just as a troll job. Like it's so stupid.
Okay, it's not. It sounds like the troll job is your excuse.
It might be,
but I
look. I'm the guy who had the giant polo logo polo in high school, my senior year of high school.
It's the pepperoni nipples of shirts.
I thought it was tight, and then I wore it out one time in the Atlantis. I actually ended up meeting Steve Nash this night. And so there's photo evidence of this, and it's not a good look, dude. I look like a fucking idiot.
In the picture with trash Steve Nash, you're wearing a big
giant logo polo. Do you remember how bad those were? Like, do you remember the dude who showed up to your fraternity wearing that, and you were just like, son of a bitch, why? Why? I was that guy. I didn't know the limits, dude. I didn't know the limits to a lot of things back then.
What's worse, big polo Ralph Lauren or U.S. Polo Association? Like the one that sounds like it's polo, but it's not.
Big polo Ralph Lauren is still worse.
It is. I agree.
Somehow.
I agree.
It's one of the worst things that was ever made. And this is that, except with a fucking Fortnite loot.
Wait, is it big?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I guess if it was small, you couldn't really tell the difference, which would actually I would be more considering buying one.
Yeah, so
these were so big in college, by the way. When I was in college, every guy had a polo. The little tiny one, polo, like polo. I don't know what you call it. Ralph Lauren polo.
For the new generation of people where you have all these crazy options, like, I mean, Brooks Brothers is a pretty old one. There's a ton of examples, though. That was not the case, like, when I was a little kid, man. It was like you had polos sold polo.
When I was in college, you wore Sperry's, name brand Sperry's.
Okay.
Generally, like, topsiders, not the Gold Coasts. You wore a polo brand polo. Or similar, or T-shirt.
See, we had Brooks Brothers too, like heavy.
No, we didn't do Brooks Brothers up north.
Weird. I didn't realize that was regional.
Yeah, at all. Nobody did Brooks Brothers up north. Huh. Vineyard Vines got big when I was in college. I had Vineyard Vines.
Yeah, that was big when I was in school too.
Shorts.
I didn't. It was a little too preppy for my taste. Too much color for my dark heart.
Mm-hmm.
But I wore a lot of Brooks Brothers. I thought that was tight. I don't wear any of these brands anymore.
I think the worst fraternity look of
Ninja
all
Turtles
time,
t-shirts, like right now.
The worst fraternity look of all time to me is wearing a polo long sleeve tucked into 5-inch inseam shorts. Wearing a button-down long sleeve, like Oxford shirt, tucked into shorts, wearing Sperry's and the bow tie,
Jared,
was the worst look, and that's kind of what TFM was built on.
Minus the bow tie. It is what I wore like senior year of high school. Again, I think I was trying to like fit into that mold before I got there, sort of thing. And I remember my high school baseball coach, and it wasn't even just that. It wasn't just button downs. I would do this with long sleeve T-shirts in the winter. I'd show up to school in shorts and a long sleeve T-shirt, and my coach would rip me. He was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you dressing like this? It doesn't make strategic sense to have long sleeves up top and then shorts for any reason." And I was just like, I don't know, bro. Why are you hating?
Do they make capri long sleeves? You know, like
capri,
a
halfway?
Yeah,
like a rugby shirt
like
type of stitch?
Yeah, but like a little longer.
I don't know. It's not my, place of interest anymore.
It's probably bad for elbow mobility, but you ever wear capri pants?
Maybe. By accident. I've got really long legs, so for a while there, it was hard to find pants that fit like the waist and the length.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I first sprouted. When did you hit puberty, Jared?
I don't know.
When did you first? You have no idea? You don't remember being like, holy shit, I'm going to grow a dick and balls that got hair on them?
No, I don't. I truly don't.
Really?
Yeah, it just happened.
You have no idea? Like ballpark? Because I remember, here's why I remember being in middle school, right? And people around me started getting hairy and bigger. And I was like, and I don't just mean their dick and balls, just generally as a man. And I was like, this is bullshit. Because I was 5'3", no hair, hairless, like a shrew.
Completely hairless.
And I completely hairless freak. And I had nothing going yet. And it was late freshman year for me that I hit puberty. And by the time I got back for sophomore year, I had grown like a foot. And I was a monster.
You grew another foot?
Like a full foot. Like from 5'2" to 6'2" in a year. And it was painful. And I had the third foot coming out of my ass.
I'll put a foot in your ass. Like Red Foreman.
It's the American way. Toby Keith. right?
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're on Fortnite, you can buy yourself some Polo shit. I don't recommend it. That's stupid as fuck. They're $125 for it's like the price of a Polo in life, but in the metaverse of preppy gamers. I don't know.
So you're telling...
I've lost my hold on all this.
This whole segment, I thought you were saying I could in real life buy a Fortnite branded Polo.
I am saying that.
Okay, good.
But
you can also buy it in the game?
More importantly, the partnership is for in the game. You can buy, you can fit your character with a bunch of Polo outfits. And Polo G, the rapper, is somehow tied into this whole thing. It's a mess out there. I don't know how we don't end up with more, how come we never get a Polo marketing campaign? These are the kinds of ideas that are being thrown around at this point. We don't end up with just some opportunity.
Well, we don't have the same audience as Fortnite.
Yeah, we're smaller, a little bit smaller. But we do have some sponsors. Today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest way to play daily fantasy. And if you don't know what to expect, I get it. Getting started on a new daily fantasy platform can be slightly stressful. Not so the case with Prize Picks. This is as easy as it gets. Even my boomer ass is in there having the time of my life. Easy to understand. Here's a super quick step-by-step guide to registering on Prize Picks and placing your first entry so you can focus on having fun and winning big. You register for an account on prizepicks.com. You make a deposit and pick more or less on 2 to 5 player stats to win payouts of up to 10x. So like this past Sunday, I hopped in there on Prize Picks and I went with, I think, Mahomes, Brady, and Josh Allen. And then you pick more or less passing yards, in this case, for each of those quarterbacks. And you can do anywhere from 2 to 5 players. Like I said, your payout is bigger the more players you add on. And then you can decide if you want it to be that you hit all of them and then get paid like 3x, or if only 2 of the 3 that you made had to pay. Like there's different options for the payouts as well, based on how difficult it is. But you can win up to 10x your money on any entry. It's a really, really fun way to do daily fantasy. You're not competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections that Prize Picks has. And they offer projections for pretty much any sport you watch, including NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and more. It's crazy. This is my first year doing daily fantasy because I'm sick of regular fantasy football teams that I build sucking ass and making me sad. And it was Prize Picks and their super easy to use platform and cool spin on daily fantasy that sucked me in. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. I would say more like 10 seconds or less. It is so easy to do. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. The app is phenomenal. I've got it on my iPhone. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code RBP. Wow. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50, so that you have double the amount to play with there. Don't forget to enter promo code RBP at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. Prizepicks.com or get the app today. I've got one more headline for you. A single winning ticket for the $2.04 billion Powerball jackpot was sold in California. Mm-hmm. You actually mentioned that you think it was possibly in like a well-off suburb.
It was like up in like the northern hills, like kind of near like Beverly Hills,
like Hidden Hills and shit.
I don't know what that is, but yeah,
I think it's where Drake lives.
It's in like
I don't know where it is.
It's in the Los Angeles area. It's not like up in the valley or like out. It's like near Beverly Hills, kind of. Sold at like Joe's Service Center,
City of Angels,
California. Yeah, that's the
$2 billion though,
biggest ever lottery win.
Jesus.
And it was a single ticket. So it says this one person is going to take home like over $1 billion after tax.
So the largest Powerball jackpot ever prior to this was January 2016 when 3 people split the prize advertised at $1.586 billion, right? So they each took their share of the cash value, which added up to about $983 million each. This is one fucking ticket for a $2.04 billion payout or whatever. So you and I were talking about like the logistics of, first of all, this person is screwed, right? Like everybody knows you win the lottery, that's a really difficult life transition to go from a normal person to so wealthy that you don't even know how to spend all this money. And then how in some states you're actually legally required to like they have to identify you because they want people to see like there was a real winner. We're not just bullshitting you here.
Yep.
And then you're even more screwed because everybody knows who you are. But like, my God, I don't know. Do you think you could survive it? Like, do you think you could manage it if it was you? It wasn't. But let's just say it was. And $2 billion was suddenly a thing you were looking down the barrel of. Like, would you be able to manage that situation without going crazy?
I think the first thing you do is you hire like the best wealth manager in the entire country, right?
And then just give them like half or what?
I mean, yeah.
Just take this.
And then the rest, you put it into a Wells Fargo standard savings account, like the kind your mom set up for you when you were 14. You get like 0.05% interest
not mine.
a year.
Yeah.
And you just coast off that.
Forever?
Here's the thing. From what I understand, the worst part of winning the lottery is that every single person you've ever interacted with, including people you've sat next to at stoplights, asks you for money. Because that's the worst part is how you don't have any real true relationships anymore. All your past
all about
ones,
the winning.
Trying to make to use that relationship they already had for money. All your future ones, they already know you have money, so that factors into it.
I mean, you instantly go to the place that like being an A-list celebrity takes you, right? Which is where you don't know if anyone is actually there for you.
Real friends. How many of us?
Exactly, like Kanye said. You see how things went for him when he became a billionaire. Not good.
No, not good.
Not good at all. But
it would be.
I don't think I could handle it.
It would
That's
suck.
Too much.
It would suck. It would be fun. The times that didn't suck would be so fun.
Here's the thing. What the fuck does your life become?
You do whatever the fuck you want. You buy a company.
But you know what you have to worry about, right? Every day, you and I, we know the stakes. We know exactly what the stakes are. Here's the bills you have. Here's the list of shit you have. You have to make X amount of money to pay for all this shit, and that's kind of it. And that gives you a daily purpose, Monday through Friday, at least during work hours, of something you're going to do. You give me $2 billion, I don't know what kind of monster I become, Jared. I'm already privileged scum who plays video games too much and spends far too much time doing jack shit. $2 billion?
You spend it. To me, it's easy. The first year, you spend traveling the entire world.
Okay.
I mean,
Get some
honestly,
good old-fashioned memories under your belt.
First 3 years, because that's the one thing. Like, seeing the entire world is something not a lot of people get to do.
Very true.
You can fund that, and like then it's like, okay, your life has purpose then. You are now a human who's experienced the entire human experience.
Sure.
You'd probably need more like 15 years for that. So just do that. 15 years.
And if you don't stop, they can't find you to fuck you. That's the good part. I like that plan.
Buy a private jet. Buy an entire security team. Have a wealth manager, but also have 5 personal assistants.
Because if you get $2 billion, you can do what you're saying. That's enough to do what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because, like, Tekashi 6ix9ine lives like that. He's only worth like $20 million or something. There's just no way. At $2 billion, you could pull it off if you had the correct game plan. That's the thing I don't get. Yeah. How there's never been a lottery winner that we hear about, like, this person, Sarah Hutchinson won $400 million in 1995 and has managed it flawlessly to a perfect, awesome life. Like, how has that not happened one time?
That's a terrible news story, though.
It is a bad news story that nobody wants to read. Lottery winner has things go very well for them after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should also note, like, it would be really fun to just like use that money to just totally screw up, like, be a disruptor.
Like Elon?
Or like buy
Twitter and destroy it?
Buy an esports team that just has the best player in every sport and just like fuck shit up.
That would be tight. I mean, realistically.
You buy a sports team.
I would buy a sports team.
Would it have to be a Houston sports team? Or would you buy the cheapest one and then turn it into
right
your new
now,
favorite?
if it was right now, I'd be going after an NHL team to bring to Houston.
How does that work, though? You can't just come in with a bunch of money and do that.
Yeah, you can. I swear to God, one of them just went on the market.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It happens every so often. Not every
Coyotes.
season.
It was the Coyotes.
Yeah.
They lost their stadium, too.
Yeah, it sucks, but you got to swoop in and fuck people if you want to buy a sports team. That's how it works. Like Austin with our soccer team. We screwed Ohio.
Does Houston really need a hockey team?
Yes. We have no hockey shit, dude. It stinks. All you fucking Northerners talking about hockey and enjoying the hockey playoffs, we got nothing.
I mean, Tampa, best hockey dynasty in the league right now.
See, and that's in Florida.
Yeah, but
why can't we have a hockey team in Houston? Houston is basically Florida.
We have a sellout crowd for the last like 20 years.
I mean, climate-wise, it's like Florida.
Yeah. Okay, well, here's right now. Houston has a history of having some of the worst team names in the league.
Oh, I don't trust us to pick the team name at all.
What's it going to be?
And you're just saying that bit. Look, the Astros and Rockets are fine team names. The Texans is among the worst team names, maybe the worst team name ever. If you're not counting the new wave of like Commanders and shit that have been, brought out to cancel racist names, we have the worst name in sports.
My issue is this.
Houston.
What's an Astro?
Texans.
What's an Astro?
Yeah, but you could say that about 100. What's a Philly?
It's a person from Philadelphia. I don't know. What's an Astro?
I don't.
You can't can't answer my question with another example that's similar.
What is an Astro? It's short for astronauts, Jared.
Then why are they the Houston Astronauts? That's cooler.
I don't know the answer to that question. Houston Astronauts sounds fucking stupid. That's why, because Astros is way cooler.
No,
they made the right choice there.
I don't like when people go like, oh, they call dinosaurs dinos. I hate that. Don't call an astronaut an astro.
You don't like shortening dinos? You were the guy in college. It was like, don't call my fraternity a frat. You wouldn't call my country a cunt. That was you?
Yeah, that was me.
What a tool.
That was me. Hey, it's me. You pick some stupid ass name. The Houston.
You're the problem.
The Houston
Ice twats.
The Houston Ice Astronauts. Istronauts.
Oh, see?
That's kind of sick.
We're having fun now.
The Houston Istronauts.
I want us to have a hockey team, bro. Dude, here's the thing. It can't be worse than having the Texans and having to be a Texans fan, because that's the most miserable experience of my lifetime so far.
I'm all in on the Houston Istronauts. That's so
fucking
cool.
do this. Let's go get some lottery tickets and bring this hockey team to Houston.
We got to wait a few years for the Powerball to get back over a Billy.
Yeah, how's that happen?
It's a progressive.
It's
jackpot.
a rolling type of jackpot.
It's a progressive, so it keeps going up the more people don't win. And then the reason why it gets won when it gets really big is because so many people are buying tickets.
It's mathematically
yeah. Yep. So that's why once it hits
the lottery, bro.
Once it hits $1 billion, $1.5 billion, $2 billion, like those big news numbers, it went over $2 billion. So now it got
everybody goes and buys one.
I considered buying one, and I think the last time I bought was in 2016 when the last time it was big.
I did the 2016 one. Yeah. I don't know how I didn't get drawn into this one.
No, you and I did a office pool, which can you fucking imagine if that office pool had won? Oh my God. Can you imagine the politics that would have gone on if the Grand X office pool had to split $1.6 billion?
I mean, that company would probably still be alive as a result and destroying the careers of wonderful content creators.
Yeah.
Would have been a disaster. Epic proportions. I'm glad we didn't win.
I'm happy.
But I do remember the office pool,
yes.
Which I'm just confused about how. I think it's because I've been sick for a week, so I just kind of missed this entire Powerball hype. But I wish I had gone in, because now I could have been the Astronauts guy. Today's episode is also brought to you by Liquid IV. Cooler weather makes it easy to miss signs of dehydration like overheating and or perspiration, which means it's even more important to keep your body hydrated. Liquid IV fuels your well-being with easy ways to stay hydrated. Liquid IV, in just one stick, you're getting 5 essential vitamins and hydrating 2 times faster than you would with water alone. So whether you're prepping for the day or taking a long-haul flight on vacation, Liquid IV is an essential addition to your routine. Typically, I drink it first thing in the morning. Gives me a nice baseline of hydration for the rest of the day, Jared, but I'll have it before a workout, or if I'm just feeling run down. It's great for daily hydration maintenance, long-haul flights, busy work days, after a long night out, obviously. And it's convenient packaging. Look at this. Look at it. You just tear off the top, you dump it in, you shake it up, you drink it. Got one in here. It's delicious. All kinds of great flavors: Concord grape, lemon lime, pina colada, tropical punch, watermelon, strawberry, passion fruit, guava, all kinds of good stuff. Liquid IV is on a mission to change the world as well. To date, they've donated over 25 million servings in 50-plus countries around the world. Their product contains 5 essential vitamins: B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C, with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks, made with premium ingredients, non-GMO, free from gluten, dairy, and soy. And RBP gang, you can grab your Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or get 15% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code ROSS at checkout, which would be the move in my opinion. That's 15% off anything you order, Jared, when you go to liquidiv.com. Promo code ROSS.
Josh Campbell, Corporal, United States Marine Corps.
Second Lieutenant Jackson Howard, U.S. Army.
This is EO2 Elsesser from the U.S. Navy.
Mary Jo Milestrup, Lieutenant Commander, U.S. Coast Guard.
Lance Corporal Levering, United States Marine Corps.
This is retired Brigadier General Guy Walsh, former commander of the 175th Wing, Maryland Air National Guard, and commander of the 451st Air Expeditionary Wing, Kandahar, Afghanistan. badass vet you haven't heard of.
Fuck yeah. Today's badass vet you haven't heard of is Douglas Bader. I'm going to read you his story. Group Captain Sir Douglas Robert Stewart, spelled Steuart, which is some weird shit. Bader, Bader is his last name. He was a Royal Air Force flying ace during the Second World War. That's World War II, Jared, not one.
Okay.
He was credited with 22 aerial victories, 4 shared victories, 6 probables, 1 shared probable, and 11 enemy aircraft damaged. He joined the Royal Air Force in 1928, was commissioned in 1930, and in December of 1931, while attempting some aerobatics, crashed and lost both of his legs. And having been on the brink of death, he recovered, retook flight training, passed his check flights, and then requested reactivation as a pilot. And although there were no regulations applicable to his situation, he was retired against his will on medical grounds. Then, after the outbreak of the Second World War, that's World War II, Jared, in 1939, he returned to the Royal Air Force and was accepted as a pilot. So I guess like once a giant World War broke out, they were like, oh, screw it. We'll give you a shot. You can pilot with no legs. So he scores his first victories over Dunkirk during the Battle of France in 1940, which you've heard of because they made a movie about it. I don't know how Bader didn't get mentioned. There was a legless pilot wrecking shop in the skies above Dunkirk, and I didn't get to hear about it in the film?
Did he have legs or?
No, they were gone.
Oh, I thought he just broke them.
No, they had to take them shits because he crashed.
So he's like if Lieutenant Dan
in a fucking fighter plane. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Pretty sick. In 1941, he bailed out over German-occupied France and was captured, which is not as sick. But soon afterward, he met...
You prefer your soldiers not to be POWs?
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all, Jared. I'm just saying it's not great to have to bail out of your airplane. What a horrible quote. That was one of the worst quotes by any politician ever. But he met and was befriended by Adolf Galland, a prominent German fighter ace, and despite his disability, he made a number of escape attempts and was eventually sent to the prisoner of war camp at Colditz Castle. So they captured a legless fighter pilot, and then he repeatedly attempted escape. Just the biggest pain in the ass possible. Love it.
They kept him in a castle?
Guess so. Colditz Castle. And he remained there until April 1945 when the camp was liberated by the 1st United States Army because we had to bail everybody out of WW2. I don't know if you know that.
Or what's WW2?
The second, the World War after the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. He left the Royal Air Force permanently in 1946 and resumed his career in the oil industry. During the 1950s, a book and a film reached for the sky. Man. You'll believe me when I say I'm an oil man. Book and a film, Reach for the Sky, chronicled his life and Royal Air Force career to the end of the Second World War. He campaigned for disabled people in the Queen's birthday honors. 1976, was appointed a Knight Bachelor for services to disabled people and continued to fly until ill health forced him to stop. In 1979, he died at 72 years old in September of 1982 after a heart attack. But what a crazy-ass story. It's one thing to become an Air Force pilot in any right, and then to do it legless and enter a world war and have to bail out of your airplane and survive as a POW and then come back to have books and movies made about you.
This guy is my favorite legless warrior since Lord of the Rings.
Legolas.
That was a good joke.
It's a good joke.
Thank you.
I watched, in closing, the second trilogy. My wife and I finished Rings of Power. Tight show. First of all, really enjoyed it. But she was like, I haven't seen the second trilogy, the Hobbit trilogy. Let's watch it. And I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. Look, it wasn't good when it came out. I remember everybody, all the LOTR nerds being like, ooh, they kind of botched. This is weak compared to the first trilogy. It has aged so poorly. Oh my God, is it bad? There are so many scenes that you're just like, what the fuck is happening? And then at one point, I realized for the first one in the second trilogy, we were actually watching the extended version, so there were even more really bad scenes that were in it, and oh my God, Peter Jackson really fucked that up. That was bad.
Okay, somebody who's never... I saw the first Lord of the Rings, but like on DVD.
I always forget that you have no idea. You don't even know.
Yeah, like on DVD, like 2 years after it came out. Ever since then, I've not seen a single Lord of the
So
Rings.
you never saw
thing.
Return of the King, never saw The Two Towers, just don't care?
No, I'm gonna watch them eventually. They're just so daunting. It's like 4 hours each or some shit.
Yeah, there's like 3. I mean, they're long. I like long movies, though.
So what order do I watch in? The first Lord of the
Don't
Lord of the
watch
Rings?
the second trilogy at all. Just
No, I have to. If you're gonna watch everything.
It's so
Have you read the
fucking
books?
bad. Yeah, when I was a kid, though. I read the Hobbit books when I was a kid. Not.
Are those kid friendly?
I mean, they're like a classic, like late middle school, early high school read. I feel like.
Who wrote those again? J.R. Smith.
Yeah, J.R. Smith. Yeah, after he left the Cavaliers, that's what he got
He's
into.
he's playing college golf now, isn't he?
I think he's a coach, right?
I thought he was playing collegiate golf.
Oh yeah, and he's shirtless. I don't think he puts on a shirt
Oh.
when he plays. But yeah, don't watch the second trilogy. Just watch the first one. Rings of Power was a very cool show. Though.
What is that? Prequel? What the hell is? Where does that fit?
Yeah, it's like 1,000 years before the first Lord of the Rings or something. I don't know.
Should I start with that? Or is it like House of the Dragon where
it's
it
kind of
assumes
like
you have
House of the
knowledge?
Dragon where
Okay.
it does assume some knowledge and would be better if you had seen it all. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for being with us here today. Follow Jared at Jared Borislow on Twitter and Instagram. What's the F1 race this weekend? Brazil, the Brazil Grand Prix.
Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
Oh, Sao
They renamed
Paulo.
it last year from Brazilian Grand Prix.
And your preview will be available on the Formula Bone F1 show probably
Tomorrow.
by Wednesday.
Yeah.
November 9th, yeah. So if you're watching the F1 race this weekend and you want to preview, J-Bone hosts Formula Bone F1 show, available wherever you listen to RBP, the finest F1 coverage in the land from your own Jared Borislow.
Oh my gosh.
If you're watching The White Lotus on HBO, we are covering season 2 on oysters, clams, and cockles. If you are a Houston sports fan, listen to Banging the Can. Follow me at WR Bolen on Twitter and Instagram. And we'll be back on patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast later this week. I think I'm going to do one by myself and one with Bone, depending on how the schedule shakes out. It's kind of chaos the next few days because I was out all week last week. I am very behind. But we appreciate y'all and your patience and your support. Thank you. Follow us everywhere on social media. Get at us on TikTok and such. Go to bolenmedia.com/shop to check out the merch available to you. And until next time, stay safe out there. Vote or die, and don't throw White Claws at anybody, really. You shouldn't throw beverages. I've never understood that. Just don't throw beer cans, don't throw seltzers, don't throw bottles at people, right? Bad. Kid in my high school got like paralyzed by a situation like that.
Yeah, there's a fraternity at Madison got kicked off campus because they almost killed a girl by throwing a TV off their roof. They weren't aiming for her though. She just happened to be running through the crowd.
Holy shit. We used to do that, so I'm really glad that never happened with us. Like, we had a thing called a smash rock that was like 20 feet off of our balcony, and we would throw like TVs and stuff onto it.
A smash rock.
It was a massive
You're telling
boulder.
me you had a smash rock on your property and you didn't have sex on it?
No, it was very much in the public viewing of like our house was in the middle of campus, so like you would have been arrested quickly if you fucked on the smash rock. But we did break things on it. Ritualistically. Anyway. Ding. Until next time. Peace.